The Zephyrian High Council had debated for cycles about the human problem. These bipedal creatures from the third planet of a yellow dwarf star had somehow managed to spread across their solar system with alarming efficiency. Their technology was primitive by galactic standards, yet they possessed an unsettling tendency to overcome impossible odds through sheer stubbornness. "We need to send a clear message, Gal," growled Commander Vexthu, his 6 eyes gleaming with malice. "Something that will break their spirit before they become a real threat." The Council's bioengineers had crafted the perfect solution: the Devourer. Standing 12 feet tall with chitinous armor, razor-sharp claws, and an insatiable appetite for destruction, it was designed to be humanity's worst nightmare. Its acidic saliva could melt through steel, its roar could shatter glass from a mile away, and its intelligence was just high enough to make it a cunning predator. They dropped it in a metal pod outside a small human settlement called Millfield, confident that the carnage would be broadcast across Earth's primitive communication networks within hours. Sarah Chen had been having a rough week. Her PhD research on xenobiology was going nowhere. Her grant funding was running out, and her cat Mr. Whiskers had somehow gotten stuck in the neighbor's tree again. The last thing she expected while sipping her morning coffee was to see a smoking crater in the field behind her house. "Well, that's new," she muttered, grabbing her field kit and camera. The creature that emerged from the pod was certainly impressive. Sarah watched from behind a tree as it stretched to its full height, testing its claws against nearby rocks and letting out what she assumed was meant to be a terrifying roar. Instead of running, Sarah found herself fascinated. The creature's movement patterns reminded her of a large cat, all coiled muscle and predatory grace. When it noticed her, those glowing orange eyes didn't hold the mindless hunger she'd expected. There was intelligence there, and something else she recognized from years of working with animals: confusion. "Hey there, big guy," she said softly, stepping into view with her hands raised. "You look lost." The Devourer, designed to strike fear into human hearts, tilted its massive head and made a sound somewhere between a growl and a whimper. 3 days later, Commander Vexthu received his first report. The human settlement was intact. More concerning, their monitoring equipment showed the Devourer's biosignatures centered on a single human dwelling with no signs of combat. "Perhaps it's planning an ambush," suggested one of his subordinates hopefully. The truth was far worse than Vexthu could have imagined. Sarah had named the creature Rex after determining it was male through some very careful observation. The acidic saliva turned out to be a natural response to Earth's atmosphere. Once she'd figured out how to neutralize the pH imbalance with some basic antacids dissolved in water, Rex became much more manageable. The terrifying roars were actually attempts at communication. Rex was remarkably intelligent, picking up simple hand signals within hours. By day 2, he was following Sarah around her property like an enormous, deadly puppy. By day 3, he was sleeping on her back porch, careful not to damage her furniture with his claws. "You're not really a monster, are you?" Sarah asked, scratching the spot behind his head that made him purr, a sound like distant thunder. "Someone made you to be scary, but that's not who you really are." Rex's response was to gently nuzzle her hand with his massive head. The situation deteriorated rapidly from the Zephyrian perspective. Satellite footage showed the Devourer helping Sarah tend to her garden, carefully using his claws to dig holes for new plants. He'd learned to control his strength, becoming remarkably gentle around her and the neighborhood children who had overcome their initial fear. When Mrs. Henderson from next door needed help moving furniture, Rex was there. When little Tommy Martinez lost his ball in the storm drain, Rex retrieved it without being asked. The local news did eventually pick up the story, but rather than spreading terror, it became a feel-good piece about interspecies friendship. "Alien visitor becomes hometown hero," read the headlines. Commander Vexthu watched in growing horror as his ultimate weapon appeared on human television, wearing what appeared to be a large collar with a tag reading, "Rex if found, call Sarah." The breaking point came when the Zephyrians sent a recovery team. 3 ships landed in Millfield, expecting to find either a devastated human settlement or a rogue bioweapon to eliminate. Instead, they found Rex standing protectively in front of Sarah's house, his posture making it clear that anyone wanting to harm his human would have to go through him first. Behind him, Sarah stood with a shotgun and the determined look of someone protecting family. "You made him to be a weapon," Sarah called out to the confused aliens. "But he chose to be something better. That's what humans do. We give creatures a chance to choose who they want to be. The standoff lasted 3 hours. In the end, it wasn't Rex's claws or Sarah's gun that settled matters. It was the sight of the local children bringing Rex his favorite snacks and him gently accepting their offerings while never taking his eyes off the potential threat to his adopted family. Commander Vexthu found himself facing an uncomfortable truth. They hadn't just failed to terrorize humanity. They'd given humans something far more dangerous, proof that even their most fearsome creations could be turned into allies through simple kindness. The recovery team departed empty-handed, leaving Rex behind by his own choice. 6 months later, Rex had his own social media accounts, a sponsorship deal with a pet food company, though his diet requirements were unique, and a starring role in Sarah's research papers on xenobiology and interspecies bonding. The Zephyrian High Council quietly shelved their plans for Earth invasion, deciding that any species capable of turning their ultimate weapon into a beloved pet was perhaps best left alone. And in Millfield, Sarah Chen continued her research with the most remarkable lab assistant in the galaxy, a 12-foot-tall alien who fetched her coffee, protected her from door-to-door salespeople, and proved that sometimes the best way to defeat a monster is to show it love instead.